Your fertility is an intelligent conversation your body's having with your life. If it doesn't feel safe, it won't say yes. I'm Lindsay, here at Fertile Frequencies Radio, and today we are joined with the brilliant Dr. Aumatma, a seasoned naturopathic doctor and board-certified expert in naturopathic endocrinology. With more than 18 years of clinical experience, we're diving deep into what true holistic fertility really means. More about Dr. Aumatma. She has trained other doctors in fertility medicine, is the best-selling author of Fertility Secrets, What Your Doctor Didn't Tell You About Baby Making, and the creator of the restorative fertility approach. She's been featured on ABC, CBS, Fox, and hundreds of podcasts, sharing a message of possibility and healing, and hosts her own show, Egg Meets Sperm, for leading fertility education. Together in this episode, we'll explore why just relax fails, how gut-driven inflammation echoes in the uterus, and why emotional truth, especially in relationships, can restore the feminine signal to receive. If you've ever been labeled unexplained, stay with us. We'll show you what to look for, what optimal really means, and the calm, grounded steps that invite your miracle in. So exhale. When your body feels safe, your biology says yes, and this is where your miracle becomes a success. Welcome to Fertile Frequencies Radio, the podcast that's here to revolutionize your fertility journey by going beyond hormones and cycle tracking. We combine science, spirit, and mindset to help you finally achieve success. If you're done with the same old fertility advice, you've come to the right place. This is where we celebrate every fertile win and empower you to view your fertility as so much more than just your physical body. Get ready for powerful stories, expert insights, and interviews, and endless amounts of encouragement to uplift and inspire you every step of the way. Welcome back to Fertile Frequencies Radio. Today, I have the wonderful Dr. Aumatma, and her practice is a Holistic Fertility Institute. I am so excited to welcome her to Fertile Frequencies today. Welcome, Dr. Aumatma.
So great to be here, Lindsay. Thank you for having me.
I always love to start out with talking about how you got into this work. And really, a lot of times people feel that it's something personal. It doesn't have to be. I know I don't have kids, but the universe pushed me into helping people have children. So tell us more about your story and how you got into the work that you're doing.
Yeah, I have kind of a funny story with it. I was married to this man who wanted to have children, which sounds like a very normal thing. And every time he mentioned children, my uterus would be like, no. And I was like, wait, what's happening? I'm so confused. And like, I am very intuitive and I like follow my guidance and follow my intuition. So I just like dove into that and I was like, why does my body keep saying no? What does that mean? And I reflected back on the years that we had in that relationship and like every step of the way, I noticed I was like, oh yeah, I started having more cramps. I had more PMS. I had like mood swings, stuff that I hadn't experienced in almost 2 decades, I had started experiencing with him. So like in retrospect, it's not a surprise that my body was like, God, no. But in reality, like I had little red flags that were happening since the beginning of that relationship. And I had ignored them. I had put them under the surface. And when it got to children, I was like, I freaked out a little bit because I was in my early 30s, and what I had learned in medical school was, your fertility is gonna drop off of a cliff, so if you hope to have children, you probably should do that sooner rather than later, and I went into a tailspin because I was like, "Well, if I don't have children with him, what does that mean? Like, am I okay not ever having children? Because by the time I, like, find another person, get to the point of getting married and having a child, like, it might be forever, and I might lose that opportunity." And, it sent me into like, what I know best is science, so I dove into the research, and I was like, "Is it true? Like, is my fertility gonna drop off of a cliff?" And when I realized one of my inspiring books, I found this book that had references of women well into their 60s that were getting pregnant in other parts of the world. And I don't wanna have a child at 60, but to me, that said, "Hey, if someone could do that, that means I should be able to have a child at 35 or 40 when I'm ready with the right person without a problem." Right? And if they were able to do it, what were they doing that is different from what we're doing? And that really started my framework into what do I need to understand about this situation that can free me from this relationship, can help me not have a child with that person, and, like, I have a 7-year-old now, and I literally every day that I see him, I'm like, "I'm so glad I did not have a child with the wrong person." Like, that literally still has stayed with me because God, like, it just would have been heart-wrenching to have a child, and this is not any shade on anyone else that might have a different life path, but really, I feel like and I talked to some of my girlfriends, and they were like, "Oh my god, we're in the same boat, like, we're about to settle down with this doofus because there's no other options." Like, he'll have a child with me, so maybe I'll just do it. And it is so, like, our world is very weird in the way that we've structured it, in the things that we tell people and the things that we tell ourselves, and I just believe in a world of possibility, you know? And when I realized that something else was possible for me, it freed me up to, like, make choices from a different place rather than the fear of, "Oh my god, I'll never have a child," to, "Actually, I'll be okay if I don't have a child, but the reality is it's probably gonna be really possible to have a child." And when I got to that point, I was like, "Ugh, get me out of this relationship. I'm done." I'm like, I was only married for 18 months, it's kinda sad. But it was a nice starter relationship. It was practice marriage. Uh,
Yeah.
and, and now I've been married to my child's father for 7.5 years. So, yeah, it's like night and day, and, like, that decision for me is not something I wanted to take lightly because you're tied to that person forever, and yeah, I'm like, every day I'm grateful that I'm not tied to that person.
Absolutely. And, it to me, it feels like this woke you up to your life
Mhm,
purpose. And
mhm.
obviously, that was the question is how you got into this work. But I
Yeah,
know that you talk a lot about emotions, you talk about how that affects fertility and
mhm,
hormones. And so, what I found through energetics is that the reproduction will actually shut off
yeah,
and the uterus will actually women that are in relationships, for example, that maybe are not the best
mhm,
relationships for them, like the best alignments, they will actually have more cramping and more stagnant blood and just more of that imbalance because they don't feel protected in the
yeah,
relationship by that
yeah,
masculine sort of protective energy. They're just in the wrong relationship.
mhm,
And children are birthed out of situations all the time. They're not
yeah,
necessarily the right relationship, and
yeah,
that's
of
maybe
course,
how those souls wanted to come into this world,
totally,
possibly. But for you and how this woke you up to be able to help your tribe, your clients, that really need that work and what you went through and
Right.
realization. So that's really powerful. But do you feel that with the work that you're doing now, do you work a lot with people that maybe are in relationships that maybe it's not necessarily that they're not in the right relationship, but maybe there's a lot of disconnect and how to
Mhm.
connect with them. And I'm sure that you are some sort of emotional advocate for people as well because of what you went through. So you're not just doing the physical side, but you're also helping them with the emotions and the energetics of this process as well.
Yeah, yeah, we do some emotional stuff, we do some energetics and, like, releasing out of our bodies, but I think sometimes there are tough relationships, right? Like, we have a couple right now that when I met with them, I did not realize it.
Mhm,
But in the last, like, 7 months, they've had some stuff. And more and more, like, the one partner, I'll leave it kind of, vague, but one partner has been traveling for 4 out of the 7 months that we've been with them. The other partner is, like, holding down the fort, but they're like, "When is my partner gonna come back? Like, when are we gonna do this? Are we in this together?" They're questioning all the things. And
mhm.
the partner that's traveling is literally, like, last week I saw them, and it's so hard to not put a gender to this.
Right.
They were like, uh, "I am not sure," and this will be obvious. She's like, "I'm not sure why I'm not pregnant yet," right? And they've tried once. They tried once during an entire cycle. In the
Mm,
entire fertile window, they had 1 encounter, and they have barely been in the same space for months. And I'm
mhm,
just like, there's a disconnect here that you guys need to, like, really look at, because if you don't wanna be around this partner and vice versa, and,
mhm.
like, I'm just gonna, blah, blah. He is like, I really want my partner back. I want to be in this relationship. I want closeness. I want us to,
Yeah,
like, heal whatever it is. And he's, like, really trying, and he's showing up, and she's just, like, holding on to some resentment. She's holding on to grief that she's not letting go of.
yeah,
And for someone like that, it makes me wonder. I'm like, "Is this the right relationship for you? Because you are like, you're showing all the signs, and it's okay if it's not, like, no judgment, right? Like, it's completely okay to be like, "Oops, I made the wrong decision. I don't want this with this person anymore. I'm done." And, like, I, of all people, will not judge that.
mhm,
But she's holding, like, I can feel it in her body, like, she's holding so much tenseness and so much, like, stuff that she's just not she's putting it to the side of, like, "I just really want this baby, and I wanted this baby 10 years ago, and I just wanna, like, make it happen." And that is driving so much of her decision making around this relationship, and it's, like, it's really heartbreaking to watch, right? Because to me, I'm like, gosh, if it hasn't happened for 10 years. Now you're at a point where you're not super connected with this person. Maybe you really need to think about this differently. Like, maybe it's just not meant to be with this person. And,
right.
like, freeing each other will free you both up to meet the right people and have the right relationships and maybe children in the future. And, like, none of that is going to it's not going to be a deal breaker, at least with where you are in your fertility journey right now, right? Like, her hormones are good, her AMH is good. Like, on the physical side, you're like, nothing's wrong. But
Right.
obviously something is really happening that is needing attention. And so those are the types of relationships that really, like, and we will ask them more questions about this because we see the patterns. And I just found out yesterday, their coach was like, "She's going to go teach in Costa Rica for a year." And I'm like, "What? What?"
Right.
Like, this is totally the antithesis of
Yeah.
what, like, having a child together involves you being in the same place together. So, like, the pressure that's driving the 1 or 2 encounters that they have to potentially procreate are going in with like, "Oh my god, it's gonna happen. It has to happen right now because I'm leaving in a month," right? Like, that level of pressure is not helping her body stay fertile, and her fear, her guilt, her, kind of all of the emotions that the resentment that she's got towards him, all of that is, like, it's so many layers deep, and it and we're happy to talk to them about it, but in reality, like, they probably need to get a therapist that they can work through some stuff with
Mhm.
because, I'm not a therapist. That's not
Right.
really what I see my job being, and, like, she's one of the first people that, like, we did an emotional release with her,
Mhm.
and she's one of the few people that had barely any shift of release, and I
Mhm.
could see it, like, I can see where she's blocked, I can see, like, what's happening there,
Mhm.
but, it was just like, "Oh, man." You're like, you are trying to hold on to this, not that your body won't let you release it, your brain is like, "I'm keeping this, damn it." Like, I
Yeah.
want to be upset with him,
Yeah.
and, like,
Yeah.
a and on the surface, it's like, she's peaceful, and she's happy-go-lucky, and, like, all love, and it's just, like, so bizarre to me, but anyway, long
Yeah.
story,
Well,
but
yeah, thank you for
yeah.
sharing that. It's interesting because we have to remember as healers and providers that it's important to that we can't make the decision for our clients.
Mhm.
They have to absolutely make the decision. And when we just think of our journey overall as a human experience, that no one can make it for us. If you're a spiritual person, your guides can't do it for you. Your angels can't do it for
Mhm.
you. No passed on relatives can't do it for you. Ancestors, like, you have to do it, and
Mhm.
we can only be guides to really try to offer people tools, but they have to really be the ones to actually take the ownership of that, and that's just how it's designed, and it's
Yeah.
that way for you and I as well,
Mhm.
and we've learned that, then and that's why we do what we do, so it is tough. It's tough to be in positions like that, and I have had clients myself, that couples that have had situations like that, and it's a tough place to be, but at some point you have to say, okay, have I done everything that I can do here?
Mhm.
And though, like I said, those are tough conversations we have
Mhm.
to have sometimes. So yeah, absolutely. I think it's important to remember too that when we get to a place when we feel so energetically drained by a situation, that we just have done our part, that
Mhm.
also can be a sign that, okay, I've done everything I can. I have to move forward. Because sometimes us leaving the situation helps them to make a decision. And I'm not by no means saying that that's what's happening with this situation, but just talking about just in general, whether you're a provider listening to this or you're someone trying to get pregnant, that we have to remember that sometimes we just have to let things go, that we've done all that we can to try to help, and that's it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it is really interesting how the body's responding to what the mind is doing. And I talk about that often, about how the mind is always telling the body what to do. And I know you talk a lot about just relax, and that is one of the things that it's a pet peeve of mine too, that people are told, "Just relax, it'll happen." It's
Yeah.
like, "No, this is like a legitimate thing that's going on." Like, I need more
Yeah.
help than just go take a vacation,
Just relax.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like just relax is a disservice to so many, like, in general, it's a disservice, but it is absolutely, like the worst thing that you can hear on your fertility journey is just relax. It'll happen when it's time. And I think that most of the people that are saying this are well-intentioned, right? It might be a doctor that's like, "Oh, you haven't tried for long enough, so just relax." Like, give it more time is what they're
Mhm.
saying. Or your grandma or your aunt who's like, "Oh, just relax. It'll happen. Go on a vacation." And to some extent, we can we can maybe say, like, in some world or some paradigm, that could be true.
Mhm.
But in reality, like, where we are now in present time, that is no longer a reality. It is not that a vacation is going to, quote, unquote, "fix it" for most people. And the reason is because what we are trying to tell people to do is something that needs to be a felt experience in our bodies. So we
Mhm.
can go on vacation and still be stressed, still answer all the hundreds of emails coming through our inbox, still feel like, oh, I'm responsible for the whole world and everything's going to fall apart if I leave. These are all like things that you cannot relax your way out of.
Mhm.
And these are all the things, and everyone has different circumstances, but more often than not, I find that women that are on the fertility journey are struggling with feeling safe in what is happening in their lives. That can be a relationship, that can be their boss, that can be their hormones, that can be the mold that they're exposed to, that can be the toxins that are around them that they don't realize are causing them reproductive harm. All of those things are triggers that tell the body it's not safe. And if we have that signal happening from multiple ways, in multiple frequencies that are all coming in that are like, "Not safe, not safe, not safe, not safe,"
Mhm.
then the body makes a decision to protect the future child in an attempt to support survival of the fittest, in an attempt to help like our humanity move forward.
Mhm.
And it's a very selfless decision, but it is triggered by all of these things that are happening with and around us, and to
Mhm.
us and for us.
Mhm.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
however you wanna look at
Yeah.
that, uh,
Yeah.
all of those things are creating this response of not safe. And you can sometimes we can fool our bodies into a safety response if you're like, "Oh, if I just take myself out of this for a week, a month, a year, then I will feel better." And that's
Mhm.
sometimes true.
Mhm.
But we've had a lot of people and we like, this is never what I tell people to do. I have never in my life said, "You if you just quit your job, you'll get pregnant." Right? But
Mm.
there are some people that are like, "If I just quit my job, I'll feel better." And they think that that's gonna help them get out of how they feel. And sometimes it does.
Mhm.
But sometimes those signals are so loud regardless of what the work situation is. So you, like, took away that one signal, but
Mm.
all the other ones are still happening, and they're all still saying the same thing. So
Right.
even though you don't have that trigger that was the most intense one that you were aware of, your body is still getting triggered in the same way. So
Mm.
really, like, the holistic approach is, what are all the things that are telling your body not to do something that it's designed to do?
Mhm.
Your
Mhm.
body is designed to procreate. Your humanity wants you to procreate. So, if it's not happening, but you want it to, and again, there's no judgment for people that don't want children. I'm okay with that. But for the people that really, really, really want children, if your body is designed to do this and it's not naturally doing it, then what are the obstacles that are standing in the way of
Mhm.
your body being able to do what it was designed to do?
Mm,
And only 1 to 2% of the time, it's that it actually cannot. It's genetic, it's structural, it's something that we can't change.
mhm.
But a majority of the time, it's things that we have control over. So if we have control over it, and we can do something about it if we knew what it was, right? So that's where I think, and that's the big if we knew what it was, if we knew what all of the obstacles were, then we could go and strategically say, okay, we're going to shift that, we're going to shift that, we're going to shift that, and just one by one knock it off the list and create an environment that supports your body feeling safe rather than being in survival mode. And if we can shift that signal, then we know that majority of the time you will get pregnant. Majority of the time. I can't guarantee it. It's not
Right.
100%, but most of the time that will do it.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for sharing all that. I have so much to add to that. I mean, that's just really powerful. Thank you, Aumatma. Um, I know that in my practice, working with clients, that you talk about safety. I see so much imbalance in the root chakra and in the sacral
Mhm,
chakra,
mhm,
a lot in the heart as well as in the throat. But if we're just talking about safety, we're talking about that foundational sort of energy that people do not feel safe in their bodies, and so much of it is coming from trauma. So then
mhm.
when we get to a place where we want to have a child, we
Yeah.
want to expand our family, and if those patterns are still hanging out there and the body is remembering, I mean, this is a very somatic thing,
Mhm,
that everything is affected by that. And so,
mhm.
yes, people do not a lot of times feel safe. And we can get really deep into this. We can start talking about souls of babies. And I mean, I could quite a rabbit hole, and people on this show love that. But absolutely, and I love that you brought up the I'm not a huge fan of the word infertility. I was gonna actually ask you about your whole idea on that, because I believe that it's just we haven't quite figured out what needs to happen yet, and that's really why you're not getting pregnant. But that you brought up those unexplained infertility rates. I know that around 10% of those infertility uh, um, diagnoses that they're categorized as unexplained.
Mhm.
And so through your findings, you find that about 1 to 2% of them are actually truly unexplained infertility, or labeled as you do figure out the exact reason. Or
Mhm.
tell me more about that. I think that that's a subject a lot of people are interested in hearing about, because people are tired of being told, we just don't know what's wrong with you, or
Yeah.
oh, it's not going to happen for you, or it's your age, or so tell us
Yeah.
more about, maybe give us some inspiration and hope on that for people that
Mhm.
are listening.
Yeah, that's a great question because unexplained does get thrown around a lot. And often I feel like it's the default diagnosis instead of like, oh, we actually looked under the hood to
Mhm.
try and figure out what's wrong. So if you took your car to a diagnostician to get it fixed, and if they opened the hood and they were like, everything looks fine, you're good. And
Mhm.
you're like, no, but I hear a clicking sound. Like, that's not normal. It just started a week ago. And the diagnostician is like, "Nope, nothing's wrong. You're good. I don't know what's happening." You'd probably bring that car to a different car place, right? You would never be like, "Oh, it's just okay. I guess it's unexplained. I'm gonna live with a car that clicks for the rest of its life." Like, we would never sign up for that. Yet, when it comes to our bodies, and because some doctor in a white coat said it's unexplained, we think that, okay, well, then I'll just live with this. Or I will take your treatment even though you don't know what the explanation is. That's like going to a car mechanic and being like, oh, you're going to charge me $10,000 to fix my car, but you don't know what's wrong with it.
Right.
Hmm. I
Good
see a
point.
problem with that. Like, that's a problem for me. Like, I am not spending $10,000 if you don't know what the problem is.
Mhm.
So, it is it like what we think is okay in our bodies, we would never sign up for a physical thing that we owned. Yet our body is our most precious thing, right? Like our body is something that we should hold in the highest regard. And no way are you tinkering in my body without me knowing what is happening.
Right.
So that's level 1. I think that under that, I would say the most of the people that come to us, and I have said this often, which is I meet couples that on the surface, I'm like, "I don't get it. I don't see anything," right? Like, on the
Mhm.
surface. And I say, "I don't have any theories on why this is happening, but we can do a lot of testing to figure out what's happening under the surface." And I am still waiting for a couple that we did all the looking under the hood and did not find an answer. Like, there's
Mhm.
always an answer.
Right.
So, to me, like, that tells me that we just didn't look under the hood. And if we're telling people it's unexplainable, it's m it's really more like we haven't made the effort to identify what is explainable. And and to no shade to the doctors that told you it was unexplained, because in their paradigm, they don't have a different way to understand what's happening.
Right.
So it's sort of like bringing your car to someone that only fixes German cars. And they're like, and your Toyota, they're like, I don't know what's happening. I can't tell you anything. That's okay. Like, just bring it to a Toyota dealership and they'll tell you what's happening.
Yeah.
So, like, you just need to find the right provider, the right person to look under the hood and really assess what could potentially be going on. So, generally, like for us, that is testing. It's functional testing, not diagnostic testing, which is very different. Diagnostic testing is something normal or abnormal, and if it's abnormal, then it's a red flag and it's a problem. In our world, we don't care if it's normal. We want to know if it's optimal, right?
Mhm.
Like we want to know what is it that is going to, in the most likely scenario, help you get pregnant.
Mhm.
And if in that most likely scenario, you can get pregnant, but you're outside of that optimal, then we know that it's gonna have some sort of effect. And, like, one of my favorite stories is this woman that was 39 when I met her, and she had been through 3.5 years of infertility, 3 different fertility clinics, 3 different IVF cycles, and in the middle of that, acupuncturists, naturopathic doctors, you name it, like, so many practitioners in the middle of her cycles, with a partner that, going back to our earlier equation, probably not the right partner, which got clear to her in the process of us working together. So she didn't actually get to the point of getting pregnant. She's like waiting to find the right person at
Mhm.
39, at 40 now. But it's okay because we basically like freed her up and said, it's okay. You're going to have time. It's okay. Like you can work this out if you stay on your course. And the when I looked at her labs, on the surface, what I saw was her estradiol was 9, which is considered quote unquote normal on
Uh-huh.
cycle day 3. Optimal estradiol, not for you, Lindsay, but for our listeners, optimal is 40 to 50. So
Mhm.
she was drastically different from optimal. And I am asking her questions and she's like, "Oh yeah, like it's always been like that." And I was like, "Are you sure that for this entire time your estradiol has been that low?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Okay. Vaginal dryness?" She's like, "Yep, check." I was like, "How long have you had that?" She's like, "Maybe 6 or 7 years." So her estradiol was actually that low before she started trying to conceive, right?
Mhm.
Like her cycles were abnormal. She's like, "Oh, I've always had this like 1-day cycle." Prior to that, she was on birth control. So her cycle was quote unquote normal for birth control. She would have like a couple of hours of a bleed and then it would be gone. And then she got off of the pill and her cycles went to a day, still very light, still barely any shedding. So I'm listening to all of this and I'm thinking, "Oh my god, her hormones are wrecked. Her like her body is not getting the signal to make follicles, to develop those follicles, to get the signal to ovulate. So is she even ovulating every month? She was not. And then if you're not ovulating, you're not getting a progesterone rise and actually building the uterine lining that you're going to shed the next month. So literally like the domino effect of this is huge. Yet she's looking at me and she's like, it's just one hormone. What does it matter? And I'm like
Significant.
I'm
Right.
like, "Okay, let's break this down. Let me tell you why it matters." So I told her all of those, and then I was like, "And if that's not enough for you, estrogen in your vaginal area is in an intimate relationship with the microbes in your vagina.
Mhm.
So if you don't have adequate estrogen, you're going to promote the bacteria that is anti-fertility. So your local vaginal environment is basically saying, no thanks, we don't want to have a baby. So you keep this going for long enough. And she was literally like, by the end of it, she was crying. And she's like, why didn't anybody tell me this? Like, I didn't realize this was so important. And I was like, yeah, I know. I'm sorry that no one told you this. But now that you know, you have a different choice. And she was at 39, like getting Botox and like face fillers and lifters and like her skin was just saggy, right? And I'm like, you look like a menopausal woman at 39, which you
Yeah.
really shouldn't be, nor do you need to be. And her estrogen comes back online and her skin is like taut and she's like, "Oh my god, I feel amazing and luscious and I would never be with this man from this place." And I was like, "Yeah, girl, get it. Like whatever you want, we got you. We're going to support you."
You love
And she was like, "No, he's a douchebag. I've known that for 10 years." I'm like, "Great. Can you get out? Get out. Get out of the relationship because like, what does it do for you?" And she was like, "Well, I thought I really needed to have a baby and,
Yeah.
like, he's the one that was around." And the funny thing is she wrote me a couple months ago and she was like, "Thank you so much. There's like 10 guys lined up ready to have a baby with me, none of
Oh,
whom I'm in a
that's so
relationship with."
great.
But she's like, "If I really wanted a sperm donor, I have so many options."
She's magnetic. See, that's
She's
the thing.
yeah,
She got back into her feminine. I love
so
this story. I have to share with you, in Chinese medicine, as you know, I'm an acupuncturist and herbalist, and in Chinese medicine, the yin is connected to the estrogen, and so the yin is the feminine energy.
mhm. Yeah.
And it's so interesting because that relationship was actually drawing out her feminine energy. It was
Mhm.
making her more protective and shutting off her
Mhm.
ability to receive. And
Mhm.
fertility is receiving, it's receiving new life. And so, I mean, it's interesting how she got out of the relationship and then estrogen came online, and she really became more in alignment with her feminine energy. And that's why she's, even though she hasn't found the partner yet, but she's
Mhm.
got potentials that are interested in
Yeah.
her because she's magnetic in her
Yeah.
natural state. And that's really, really powerful. So you said you're not a therapist, but I don't know, Mama. I think you I think you're doing an awful lot of therapy with your clients, which is absolutely beautiful. It sounds like you, just from what you lived of being in a relationship that wasn't sustainable for you and wasn't your purpose,
Mhm.
that you can easily see it. And again, I mean, like I stated before, these are sometimes really hard conversations to have with people, but
Mhm.
I'm that way too. I'll have conversations with people that other people might not, just because they're afraid of what could happen. But I feel it's important to act as the healer that you are, and some people, they come to you because they need to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
They're not seeing it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes, like, they're coming to you and not sure that they were ready to hear what you have to
Mhm.
say,
Mhm.
but at the end of the day, I'm like, "Listen, I'm not here for you to like me. You paid me to tell you the truth, and this is what I see."
Right?
It's all that's it. Like, I'm just telling you what I see, and if it doesn't resonate, cool, no problem. Bye. Like, no
Bye.
problem. But in reality, like, I think I tend to piss a lot of people off, but they
Mhm.
will usually come to the other side of it with, like, "Thank you for telling me the truth when I was surrounded by people that weren't
Mhm.
willing to or able to tell me
Mm.
the truth." Um And most of the time it's for the better, right? Like, we talked a lot about relationships ending and, like, literally, I don't have that conversation all the time, but and,
I
like,
love it
trust
that you
I'm like,
did, though.
"No, I'm not gonna, like, tell you to break up your relationship." But in some cases, it's, like, the right move, and it's not even me telling her, like, I didn't tell her anything. She was like, "Yeah, he's a douchebag. Like, what
Mhm.
is he doing in Florida?" She lives in DC. They lived in DC. She's like, "He moved to Florida out of nowhere
Mhm.
for months without telling her what's happening." And I was like, "Is this the norm?" And she's like, "Yeah, he's totally done this before." I'm like, "Is this okay with you?" I mean,
Right?
if it is, that's fine, but and she's like, "No, it's not actually. What am I doing?" Like, I wouldn't let my best friend do this.
Right?
And I'm like, "So why are you betraying yourself? Like, you're your
Yep.
best friend. Why are you betraying yourself?" And she was like,
Exactly.
"You're so right. Like, I'm not
It's
even married to this dude. Like, why am I tied to him?"
Yep. Exactly, and we have to remember that, this is part of the fertility of you getting that abundance, is learning this part of yourself that this relationship wasn't working for me, and now I can move forward into finding the relationship that is right for me, and my body is actually responding to being on a different trajectory path. And so it is part of the abundance. It is part of the
Mhm,
fertility. And I think we often can forget that we think, oh, just because I don't have the baby yet, that, oh, it hasn't happened. Well, the universe is saying, no, wait, 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 wait. I'm giving you all kinds of fertility. You're on a different path. This is part of it. So you can actually have the baby come into your experience. And yeah, it's really powerful stuff.
yeah.
It happens in in layers. Our
Mhm,
experiences are very multidimensional, and so are our bodies. I mean, look at all the layers of muscle that we have and tissue and fascia, and it's like so even our bodies are showing us that things are not just, they're not always just straightforward. In
mhm.
fact, the whole linear thing is not a huge fan of. I'm not a huge fan of that. So, and you see that. I mean, that was a question that I wanted to ask you about the work that you do. I know we've talked a lot about relationships today, but what do you feel is one of the most common root causes that couples might be having when they're struggling with fertility obstacles?
I think the biggest is probably GI stuff. Like,
Mhm.
your gut health, the amount of inflammation that's happening in your gut, the food that you're eating that's disaligned
Mhm.
is all going to impact your fertility from several angles, hormones being one of them, the
Mhm.
other piece being the inflammation that happens in the uterus, which, like, I see this a lot with women who've had recurrent pregnancy losses,
Mhm.
that almost always there's gut inflammation that then cause uterine inflammation, and the inflammation in the uterus will sometimes trigger a loss, unfortunately. So, it is, I think the biggest, misnomer or the biggest, like, root cause that most people are like, "How's that related?" I've had people say to me like, "Oh, I'm gonna go deal with my gut stuff, and then I'll come work with you." And I'm looking at them like, that's literally
Mhm.
what we do all day long. Like, we if we're not dealing with gut stuff, like, what are we even doing?
Mhm.
So,
Right.
that's probably the one that I see the most. There we are a society that has microbiome issues, inflammation, dysbiosis, just like uh bacteria, parasite, you name it. Like we've seen it all and we see it again and again where things are showing up that really shouldn't be present in the gut or there's a lack of the things that should be present and they are um causing struggle with
Mhm.
what's happening in the reproductive system. And then if we put that through the safety filter, then what we eat is literally telling our bodies whether or not we're safe. And if we're in a constant state of nutrient deprivation, we're eating foods that are literally causing attack. Like our immune system's going, go attack. And that's the trigger that's constantly engaged. Then our body doesn't realize it, but it is in a state of survival
Mhm.
from the level of something so core to our being, which is how we eat, process our food, absorb nutrients, and like flood those nutrients throughout our body. And all of that is like, if that's under attack, then we're triggering the unsafe response at the most fundamental level that is possible. So, yeah, that that is going to for me, like, that's the biggest one. There are loads of them. There's at least there's 15 common ones, I will say,
Mhm.
and, a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, but I haven't been trying long enough," or "I'm not ready for all the testing," and blah, blah, blah. So, we actually created an analysis that people can do. It's a free thing that they can go to this app and basically get a root cause analysis for free in 15 minutes that gives them like the most probable obstacles that are in the way of their fertility. And it's not a diagnosis, it's just like, this is where I would start if that was me. And then like they can follow some protocols and start working on some things. And if it improves, great. If it doesn't improve, circle back and do some more testing to figure
Mhm.
out what it is. So just like as an intermediary step, I've been trying
Mhm.
to really cultivate this as a way for people who aren't ready to deep dive with a practitioner and like, "I've been dealing with this for so long, I just need an answer." Like, this is not for those people. This is for the people that are like, my doctor said that I need to keep trying and it'll just happen. Just relax." Well, don't just relax. Let's figure
Mhm.
out if there's an issue. And if it's not, then great. It will tell you, hey, no obstacles. Keep going. Keep supporting your fertility and you'll get pregnant, right? Like, even that reassurance is really so freeing because I talked to several and not several, probably a few hundred couples that have been like, "We don't need to do anything. You're good." And literally the next week, they will message me like, "I got pregnant. Thank you
Yep.
so much." And it's like, um, so
Yeah.
yeah, like, I didn't do anything per se, but having someone look at all of their info and be like, "No, you're good. Like, move forward. You're fine." Um is just doing just as much as all the
Yeah.
stuff that I do, right? So, it's all possible, and, that analysis just makes it into an app that people can use and access without needing to talk to me about it.
I love that, and, we'll have to is that the holistic fertility blueprint?
No, the blueprint is great, that's a good ebook to read.
Okay.
The app is called Madre Fertility, and we can link it in the show notes if we want,
Yes, yes, please.
madrefertility.com.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I love what you said about I didn't do anything. I just pointed them in the direction. Um, because I see that too. People will sign up to work with me and they get pregnant like in the first week. And I always tell them it's not that I did anything, it's that you decided that this is was gonna be the solution, and you decided that. And so
Yeah.
because of that, your body started responding to that safety that we're talking about.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so that's what's happening with these people as well,
Yeah.
is that they find something that clicks for them that, "Oh, wow, this is what's gonna work. Thank you, Doctor Aumatma," and
Yeah.
beautiful, but of course, we're taking credit and helping, but
Yeah.
I always give it back to the people and say, "You did this. You're the
Yeah.
one that did this."
Absolutely. And that the for and realizing that the first thing that you're doing, quote unquote, is helping someone surrender,
Mhm.
right? Like, in order to receive, you actually have to have your palms open. And if you're holding on to everything around you for survival, you cannot let go and relax. You can't be in control and receiving at the same time.
Mhm.
So you can either choose control and survival or safety and release. And when they open their palms, that's I feel like that's the first point at which they have made a choice and a decision to surrender.
Mhm.
And they are letting go of control from like, I can Google this, I can chat GPT it, I can whatever, like I'll figure this out myself, to I am releasing that control to someone else that I trust. And the release of control is the first thing that your body needs, and sometimes that's all it needs to click into place,
Mhm.
right? Your body goes, "Oh my god, I can actually breathe now."
Mhm.
And it releases all of the tension and all of the unsafe, and, "Oh, I feel held. I feel supported."
Exactly.
That's a beautiful place to be, and it's rare. Nowadays, I feel like it's rare that we have those people, but when I do, I'm, like, very excited about it because I'm like, "Yes!" That, like, worked without me doing anything.
I know.
Uh
I love it. I love it. So great. Yeah, it's hard to be in a place like that, to fully surrender and trust. And I think of fertility journeys, and I'm feeling that you probably might have similar philosophy on this. I feel that it's a discovery journey. It's not just about having the baby. It's really awakening yourself to just all of the wonderful, unique magic and amazing energy that you are and within
Mhm.
yourself, and maybe that you didn't see before. And your fertility journey is helping bring that out.
Yeah.
It's not fun. It's not fun when you're going through fertility obstacles and you don't have answers and you're having to go through all these different providers and figure out how to connect all the dots. But at the end, you do have the baby most of the time. Of course,
Mhm.
like you said, we can't guarantee. Um, but you found yourself,
Mhm.
which is incredible. And being in
Yeah.
a place of surrender and peace is there's nothing in this world that's more abundant
Mhm.
than getting that and getting to know who you are. So
Yeah.
that's really powerful. Well, mama, it was so wonderful having you today. I just love everything that you shared. And please let us know where everyone can find you. Of course, I'm going to link everything in the show notes. Um, but also you mentioned your download ebook that you have. But tell us a little bit how people can find you.
Yeah. So probably the best place is Instagram at Holistic Fertility Doctor. I'm very accessible. You guys can DM me. I'm in there pretty often.
Okay.
And then our website is Holistic Fertility Institute if you feel like you need support and you're ready to get started. And then we have some free resources like a egg meat sperm guide, the blueprint that we're gonna link in the show notes, and then Madre Fertility, which is the newest edition, and I feel like the coolest edition. We've been
I love it.
I have a really genius tech guy who's been working on this for 3 years.
I
So,
love it.
yeah, It is no small feat, but I'm very excited that it can potentially change the game for the fertility world. And my hope is really like more and more couples and women wake up to the fact that, wait, like there's something that I can do about this. It is not all about age. It's not all about unexplained. And if I can like help people and even have that awareness shift to, oh, there might be something in the way that is like causing this fertility struggle, that's beautiful for me. Like that will make such a big difference to people just having access to this sooner, having access to like everything that we do. Um, Even in that like awareness of, wait, maybe IVF is not necessarily the thing that I need to do right now. And that having access means I start asking those questions. And when I realize that my providers don't know the answers, then I have another resource that I can go to and check myself. And
Mhm.
like we've had 500 people go through this assessment already, and
Wow.
the biggest feedback we've gotten is, "Thank you so much. You confirmed everything that I felt like I knew about my body. You just confirmed it."
That's
And it
amazing.
is like, we're not doing anything crazy, but that feedback loop is so vital because we're told not to trust our bodies. We're told, "Oh, no, you don't know anything. You don't understand. This is more complex. You need IVF because your hormones are out of whack, or we can't really explain it, so we can control your hormones to fix it." Like, we're told all of these things that it's as simple as, "Wait, I already knew this. My intuition told me this," right? And if I can give you that feedback, I strengthen your own intuition, which then means that you trust yourself
Mhm.
to be able to do this.
Yep, absolutely. I'm so excited that you are helping people in just so many different ways, even if they're not necessarily your clients, but you are helping them to find their path and their fertility as well as their healing journeys. And also, I want to mention you also have a podcast that
Yes.
people can check out. Meet
Egg
Sperm.
meets sperm.
Egg
Egg
meets
meets sperm.
sperm, that's right, okay, I always flip them around, I don't know why, so I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that. So, yeah, absolutely check out her podcast, it's absolutely wonderful, she has lots of great experts on there as well as her own shows as well, so, yeah, well, thank you so much, Aumatma, it was so wonderful to have you today, you have so much wisdom, I feel like, we have such a connection because you're so physical, but so spiritual as well,
Yeah,
and
I feel like we relate on so many levels.
oh, yeah.
Thank you so much for having me, Lindsay. This
Yeah.
was absolutely phenomenal.
Thank you so much for tuning into this enlightening conversation with Dr. Aumatma. I hope this episode reminds you that your body isn't broken. It's brilliant, responsive, and always guiding you toward your next miracle. If this conversation spoke to you, don't forget to like, share, and follow Fertile Frequencies Radio. And leave us a 5-star review, which helps us to keep this podcast growing and glowing and bringing you this amazing content. And hey, your voice really matters here, and I'd love to hear your thoughts and stories. Head to the listener feedback form in the show notes to share your experience and even submit a question that could be answered on air in a future episode. Now, you don't want to miss next week's episode. I'm going to be talking about Spirit Baby Communication 101, talking about real signs, healing, and readiness of how your baby is communicating with you and what you can do. We're going to dive into how your future child's soul may already be whispering to you through synchronicities, dreams, and divine timing, and how to open your energetic channel to listen, not only with your ears, but most importantly with your heart. But until then, keep your vibration fertile, your faith fierce, and your frequency turned all the way up. Because miracles love a woman who knows her power.